Welcome back to Echoes of Ihsan. We're diving deep today.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is, in a way.
Yeah.
We're tackling a topic that's, well, it's been around forever.
Yeah, I think we all know where this is going.
Divorce.
Right.
But specifically, we're looking at it through the lens of Islam.
Always fascinating to see how different traditions approach such a universal experience.
Exactly. And our main source material today, Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 2.
A classic, full of insights into the Prophet Muhammad's sayings and practices.
And it's not just about, the legal stuff, though that's important.
Right, it goes deeper, touches on the ethical and social sides of divorce, too.
Which is what we're going to unpack. So what's the first thing that pops into your mind when we say divorce and Sunan al Tirmidhi?
Gotta be the concept of talaq.
Talaq, for folks who aren't familiar.
It's the Islamic term for divorce, but specifically when initiated by the husband.
So there are other ways for a divorce to happen in Islam.
Yeah, a wife can seek it too, but that's a whole other process called khula.
Gotcha. But back to talaq. I'm guessing it's not just as easy as saying the word, poof, you're divorced.
Nope, not at all. It's serious business. There are procedures, guidelines, the whole 9 yards.
And Sunan al Tirmidhi lays some of that out for us.
Big time. One of the most crucial things it highlights is the limit on how many times talaq can be pronounced.
Oh, there's a limit. Tell me more.
So way back, before this revelation, divorce was kinda unregulated.
Meaning?
Men could pronounce talaq, take their wives back, divorce again, over and over.
Yikes. Sounds messy.
It was. Caused a ton of instability and uncertainty, especially for the women involved.
So how did that change?
Aisha, the Prophet's wife, may Allah be pleased with her, saw this happening.
She stepped in.
She did. Took it straight to the Prophet, expressed her concerns about all the chaos.
Right.
Boom. Revelation time. This led to the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, limiting talaq to 2 pronouncements.
Wow. Aisha really pushing for positive change there.
For real. And it makes sense why this limitation came about. Think about it. Constant divorce and remarriage.
Emotional roller coaster for everyone.
Exactly. Especially the woman. Plus, any kids involved. Recipe for disaster.
So Islam's like, divorce. Okay, but think it through, folks.
100%. That's the vibe throughout Sunan al Tirmidhi on this topic.
Is heavy stuff, not just some legal loophole.
Nope. Profound implications, emotionally, socially, spiritually, the whole package.
So talaq is a right, but with rules and serious weight attached.
Definitely. Now, there are other specific situations Sunan al Tirmidhi dives into.
Like what?
Well, there's this hadith, number 1176, about not divorcing a woman during her period.
Wait, seriously, why not?
Think about it. She's already going through it physically and emotionally.
Adding divorce on top? Ouch.
Right. It's about recognizing her vulnerability, being compassionate and fair.
So even in the midst of splitting up, gotta treat each other decently.
You got it. That ethical core shines through so many of these divorce-related hadiths.
It's not just about the legal checklist, but how you behave.
Exactly. Embodying the spirit of Islam. Compassion, justice, respect, all that good stuff.
Is there, a practical reason for the period prohibition, too?
Totally. It avoids confusion about when the Ida starts.
Ida, that's the waiting period, right?
Yep. And it's a big deal in Islamic divorce proceedings. How long it lasts depends on a few things, like if the woman's pregnant.
Okay, break down Ida for us. Why is it so important?
Literally, it means counting, or period. It's this time a woman observes after the marriage ends, whether by divorce or husband's death.
So like a transition phase.
Totally. Time for reflection, processing, and legal clarification.
Legal stuff, what do you mean?
Well, back then, no fancy pregnancy tests.
Yeah.
Ida was how you confirmed if a woman was pregnant.
Makes sense. Lineage, paternity, all that.
Yep. So no jumping into a new marriage before things are clear.
How long does Ida last? Same for everyone.
Not quite. For women who aren't pregnant, it's 3 menstrual cycles after divorce. Rules out any chance of pregnancy from the previous marriage.
Smart. What about women who've hit menopause?
3 lunar months for them. No more periods to go by.
And pregnant women?
They wait till childbirth no matter how long it takes.
So it's tailored to each woman's situation, her body, all that.
Exactly. Shows that Islamic law, while it has rules, is also super nuanced and adaptable.
Ida is fascinating, but I gotta think it's emotionally intense too.
You're telling me. Grief, confusion, maybe relief, who knows? It's a mixed bag.
But also a time for healing, introspection, figuring out what's next.
Right. And there are guidelines about stuff like adornment and remarriage during Ida.
Makes sense. Keeping things clear, avoiding complications.
Yep. And Sunan al Tirmidhi has these great discussions about it.
Ooh, examples.
Like there's a series of hadiths, numbers 1195 to 1197, about Habiba, the Prophet's wife.
Oh, God.
She used perfume after her dad passed, sparked a whole debate about what's okay for women to do, looks-wise, during Ada.
Wow, even those details are covered. That's amazing.
Islam tries to be thorough, offering practical guidance for all sorts of life situations.
So we've covered talaq, the husband-initiated divorce with its rules.
And Ida, the waiting period, with all its variations and purposes.
We're seeing that Islamic teachings on this, they blend legal stuff with ethical stuff. It's complex.
It is, and it really reflects how complex human relationships are even centuries ago.
And this is just the beginning, folks.
Yeah.
Sunan al Tirmidhi has so much more to say about divorce.
Oh, yeah, we've got Zihar and Lian coming up. Those are wild.
Definitely going to raise some eyebrows. But for now, let's pause and let everyone digest what we've covered.
Take a breath. Think it over. Divorce is heavy stuff. Lots to consider.
So, dear listeners, what sticks out to you so far? Ever thought about the history behind those talaq limits? Does Ida make you see waiting periods differently? We'll be back soon to dive into even more fascinating stuff from Sunan al Tirmidhi. Stay tuned.
Back again for more deep diving, still exploring divorce this time with a twist.
A twist, huh? What do you have up your sleeve?
Well, as we journey through Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 2, did you notice something peculiar?
Peculiar. Are we talking about those chapters on charity and fasting?
You got it. Sandwiched right between discussions about divorce. It's like, wait, what?
It's true. At first glance, it's like, what do these things have to do with each other? But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Right. Like Islam is all about connecting the dots between different parts of life.
So help me connect the dots here. How do charity and fasting tie into divorce?
All right, let's start with charity. Chapter 25 of Sunan al Tirmidhi. Remember that one?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
It states that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his household, his companions, they were all prohibited from accepting charity.
Why is that? Seems counterintuitive, especially for those who might be struggling.
It's all about that self-reliance, earning a living, honestly. Even the Prophet, the most revered figure, right? He wasn't above this principle.
Powerful message. Sets a high standard for everyone.
Right. Strive for financial independence. Don't be dependent on others if you can help it.
Okay, but how does this relate back to divorce? I'm still missing that link.
Yeah. Think about the financial side of things. When a divorce happens, especially if the husband initiates it, he's still got to take care of his ex-wife financially during that waiting period, Ida, remember? Sometimes even longer.
Ah, I see. Protecting the woman financially, ensuring she's not left high and dry.
Exactly. A safety net built right into the system. And it's not just her. He's got to provide for any kids, too.
Divorce impacts the whole family unit. It's not just about the couple themselves.
You get it. Islam doesn't mess around when it comes to financial responsibility, especially after a divorce.
And this financial responsibility, it's not just a legal thing, is it?
Nope. It's a moral obligation, taking care of your dependents, even when the marriage ends. That's what's up.
This reminds me of that chapter about Sadaqatul Fitr, the charity given at the end of Ramadan.
Yeah, 676, yeah.
It explicitly says everyone's got to give. Free person and slave, male and female, no exceptions.
Even in a divorce situation, the well-being of everyone in the family matters, regardless of gender or social status.
A safety net woven into the fabric of Islamic teachings. Pretty cool when you think about it.
Right. The message is loud and clear. A marriage ending doesn't mean you abandon your responsibilities.
You got to step up and do the right thing, even when it's tough. It's about upholding ethical standards.
Which brings us to the other side of the coin. Sunan al Tirmidhi also pushes that idea of self-sufficiency, not relying on others unnecessarily.
Right, like Hadith 653, the one where the Prophet discourages begging unless it's a last resort.
That's the one. Work hard, earn a halal living, take care of yourself. It's about dignity and contributing to society.
And there's that other one, Hadith 658, about how begging weighs on a person's face on Judgment Day. Heavy stuff.
Powerful imagery, right?
Right.
Makes you think twice. Yes, seeking help when you need it is okay, but striving for self-sufficiency, that's where it's at.
It's a balancing act, taking responsibility for yourself while recognizing that sometimes you need a helping hand.
And that, my friend, is a life lesson that applies far beyond divorce. Oh.
True enough. So, we've covered charity, its connection to financial responsibility, and that safety net aspect.
Let's move on to the fasting piece of the puzzle. Seems totally different, but hear me out.
All right, color me intrigued. How does fasting, not eating or drinking for a while, relate to the emotional roller coaster of divorce?
Well, picture this. You're going through a divorce, emotions are all over the place.
Anger, sadness, confusion, the whole works.
And in that state, it's easy to act impulsively, do things you regret later.
Divorce isn't just paperwork, it's personal. It hits you hard.
That's where fasting steps in. It's like a spiritual boot camp for self-discipline and patience.
Whoa, boot camp, that's intense.
But think about it. Denying yourself basic needs like food and water, it builds resilience, strengthens your willpower.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It also makes you super aware of your connection to God, helps you step back from those immediate raw emotions and see things from a different perspective.
It's like hitting the pause button on the emotional chaos, giving yourself space to breathe and think clearly.
You nailed it. Fasting can help you make better decisions, which is crucial during a divorce.
It's like a spiritual detox, cleansing your inner state so you can approach things with more calmness.
Bingo! And let's not forget, fasting isn't just about personal gain. It fosters empathy, compassion, all those qualities you need when dealing with other people, especially during a divorce.
Also,
when you experience hunger yourself, you understand what it's like for others to be in need. Your heart softens. You become more sensitive to those around you.
it's like walking a mile in someone else's shoes, literally feeling what they might be feeling.
Exactly. And that's huge in a divorce situation where everyone's raw and vulnerable.
Makes me think of that hadith about not fasting if you're staying with someone without their permission.
Oh yeah, chapter 70, right. It's like even when you're doing something for your own spiritual growth, you got to be mindful of others, not make things harder for them.
It's about respect and consideration, even in your religious practices.
Which is super important during a divorce where tensions are high and everyone's adjusting to a new normal.
It's about understanding each other's challenges and offering support, not judgment.
Exactly. We're all in this together, even when things fall apart. And then there's that spiritual uplift fasting gives you. More prayer, more reflection, closer to God.
It's true, divorce can really shake your faith, make you question everything.
And in those moments of doubt, fasting can be a lifeline. It reminds you that there's something bigger than yourself, a divine force that's always there for you.
It's like finding that anchor in the storm, something to hold on to when everything else feels unsteady.
And remember, Sunan al Tirmidhi recognizes that not everyone can fast all the time.
Yeah.
Chapter 75, it talks about those concessions in the Quran for folks who are sick, traveling, pregnant. It's not about forcing hardship on people. It's about meeting them where they are, encouraging spiritual growth within their limits.
Which applies to divorce too, right? Each person's going through their own stuff, might need some flexibility in their religious practice.
Absolutely. Be understanding, offer support, don't judge. That's what Islam is all about, compassion and empathy.
It's like finding that balance between sticking to the rules and recognizing when you need to bend them a little.
Like that hadith in chapter 65 about breaking your fast if you're invited for a meal. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, it's about nurturing social bonds, being a good guest, not isolating yourself even when you're going through something tough.
Exactly. And those connections, those support systems, they're vital during a divorce.
So it all comes full circle. Those chapters on charity and fasting, they're not just random additions to a book on divorce. They're setting the stage for how we should behave, how we should treat each other throughout life's ups and downs.
Right. Divorce is just one piece of the puzzle. It's about those core values. Compassion, responsibility, self-improvement. Those things matter all the time, not just during a divorce.
It's about approaching divorce as a human experience, not just a legal transaction. Remembering our ethical and spiritual obligations, even when it's hard.
Beautiful way to put it. Sunan al Tirmidhi, it's not just about rules and regulations. It's about guiding us toward a better way of being, both individually and as a community.
This has been eye-opening, honestly. So much depth to this topic.
And we've still got more to uncover. Next up, we're tackling some real head-scratchers. Zihar and Lian, specific situations mentioned in Sunan al Tirmidhi that'll make you go, wait, what?
I'm all ears. But first, let's give our listeners a moment to process all this. Connecting charity, fasting, and divorce. It's pretty profound stuff.
It is. It makes you rethink how different aspects of life are intertwined, how they influence each other, how they can guide us towards a more ethical and compassionate way of living, even when faced with challenges like divorce.
So listeners, what are your thoughts? Does this connection resonate with you? How do you see these principles playing out in real life, not just in the Muslim community, but in society as a whole? Back again. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Talaq, Ida, that unexpected link between charity, fasting, and divorce. Sunan al Tirmidhi really packs a punch.
It does. So much wisdom packed into these teachings, even on a topic as, well, sensitive as divorce.
Totally. And one thing that really struck me, is how much emphasis there is on treating women fairly and respectfully, even during a divorce. It's easy for things to get messy, emotions run high, but the text keeps reminding us basic decency matters.
Absolutely. And there's specific hadiths that drive this point home. Like Hadith 1163, it's not just about divorce. It's about how husbands should treat their wives in general.
What does it say?
It's the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, commanding husbands to be good to their wives, reminding them that they are entrusted with their care.
It's like, regardless of the legal stuff, you have a moral obligation to treat her right.
Right. And Hadith 1174 takes it a step further, warning against mistreating or annoying your wife.
Annoying, huh? That's specific.
It is. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, uses this vivid imagery to illustrate the consequences.
Like what?
He talks about how in paradise, the wives of those who mistreated their wives in this life, they would rebuke those women, call them out.
Wow, a cosmic call-out. That's intense.
It is. It's like your actions have consequences, even beyond this life, especially when it comes to how you treat your spouse.
Makes you think twice about how you behave during a divorce, that's for sure.
Exactly. These teachings, they encourage accountability. Even when a relationship is ending, you can't just throw decency out the window.
Got to maintain those values.
Yeah.
Justice, kindness, respect. It's about being a good person, even in a tough situation.
Right on. And another thing Sunan al Tirmidhi acknowledges really well is that relationships are messy. Humans have emotions. Things get complicated.
For sure. It's not all sunshine and roses, even in the best of marriages.
And there's a hadith that talks about this, Hadith 1175. It's about jealousy.
Jealousy, huh? I guess that can pop up in any relationship.
And this hadith normalizes it, even compares it to the jealousy of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Wow. So even he felt that. It's kind of reassuring, actually.
Right. It's a human emotion. It happens. It's what you do with it that matters.
Instead of letting it fester and turn into something toxic, you got to address it, communicate.
Exactly. Talk it out, figure out what's at the root of it. Usually it's insecurity, lack of communication, stuff like that.
If you can address those underlying issues, you might actually come out stronger, even if it's not a happily ever after situation.
Exactly. Honesty and open communication, those are key in any relationship, especially a marriage that's on the rocks.
Okay, so we've touched on those broader ethical points. Now, I want to zoom in on some more practical aspects that Sunan al Tirmidhi addresses.
Sounds good. What did you have in mind?
There's this hadith, number 1154, about a woman named Barira. She was a slave who converted to Islam, and then she got a choice.
A choice about what?
About whether to stay with her husband, who was also a slave, or choose freedom.
Whoa, serious choice. What happened?
Her choice was respected. She wasn't forced to stay in the marriage. It shows that Islam recognized her agency, even back then when slavery was a thing.
It's about a woman's right to choose, even within the constraints of that time period. Powerful stuff.
And then there's Hadith 1156. It's about consent, making sure things are clear, especially in intimate matters.
What does it say?
It basically says that a woman's silence shouldn't be taken as consent. Assumptions and coercion, they have no place in a healthy marriage.
It's about mutual respect, making sure both partners feel heard and understood. That's the foundation of a strong relationship.
Communication's everything, especially when things are tough.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up our Sunan al Tirmidhi deep dive, I think we've seen just how much guidance this text offers on divorce.
From the legal nitty-gritty to the ethical and emotional stuff, it's all there.
It's not just about saying, okay, you're divorced, see ya. It's about navigating this complex process with wisdom and compassion, upholding Islamic values, even in the midst of a separation.
It reminds us that divorce, even though it's allowed in Islam, it's not something to be taken lightly. It has ripple effects, impacts everyone involved.
And beyond that, these teachings, they shape how we think about family, community, social responsibility. It's about building a society where everyone is treated with fairness and dignity, even when relationships end.
It's been an amazing journey, exploring all these different facets of divorce through the lens of Sunan al Tirmidhi. Really makes you think.
And we hope you, dear listeners, have been thinking right along with us.
We've tackled the big concepts, like talaq and iddah, explored those surprising connections between charity, fasting, and divorce, and we've seen how much emphasis Islam puts on respect, communication, and doing the right thing, even when it's hard.
It's all about living those values, not just talking about them. And that's a message that resonates far beyond the realm of divorce.
So as we sign off, we leave you with this. How can we use these teachings to build stronger relationships, support those going through divorce, and create a more just and compassionate world? Keep reflecting, keep learning, and keep those conversations going.